know it ain't minute like 6 though. Never need an intro. Yeah, even through the talk and all the chatter, I could show them that I know my family matters like a Winslow. Outdoors smoking Indo. Blood don't make you kinfolk. Loyalty is what I sing for.
And welcome back to another CGS video. How y'all know me, I'm CGS. How y'all doing today on this lovely Saturday? Not much to say, y'all know what y'all are here for. Today we're doing the AFC South prediction video. Same as last video, we're going to go over everything. Stats from last year, all that good stuff, what I think teams improved on, what they didn't, and what the record's going to be at the end of the year. So let's go ahead and get straight into the AFC South. The first team we are going to be looking at in today's video is the Houston Texans. And if y'all watched my AFC South video from last year, y'all would know that I wrote this team off before the season even started. I was like, this rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, this team's young, they got a lot to improve on. I don't think they'll do much. And I think I gave them like a 2-15 record, right? But the way this team came out, like just on like full, just on go every week, like, and they made the most of it. It did take Stroud a little while to get his feet underneath him, but when the Texans started clicking, they started clicking. Looking at the stats, they averaged 342.4 yards a game, 245.5 through the air, 96.9 on the ground, averaging 27.2 points a game, giving them the 12th best offense in the league last year. Defense side of the ball, only allowing 330.7 yards per game, 234.1 on the air, 96.6 on the ground, giving up about 20.8 points a game with a plus 10 turnover differential, giving them the 14th total defense in the league last year. And like I said, it's just on its like, it took them a while to get their feet on them. They did start off slow, but when they started clicking, Nico Collins had a breakout year. Dalton Schultz had a breakout year. Devin Singletary and Damon Pierce, the way they split carries, they both played pretty well. And obviously Stroud came into his own. He led this team to a playoff win over the best defense in the Browns last year in that wild card. They dropped almost 50. Played his heart out in that division against the Ravens, wasn't enough. But however, like I said, I wrote this team off really quick, and I think a lot of other people did too. But the way they showed that they can compete with the best of them, it was something to see. And especially coming down to, that Week 18 game against the Colts where you win and you're going to the playoffs. You get a home playoff game, right? You lose, you're out, and him coming through in clutch moments. And obviously, I know like the Colts had a chance to win the game. Had a chance to win that game very late on, but couldn't get done. But winning that game was big for Stroud and obviously the entire Texans organization. D'Amico Ryans included. What he put together this past season was crazy. And then now you go into the offseason, you had guys like Daniel Hunter off the edge, Al-Shih Shahir, one of the better coverage linebackers in the league. You got Stephon Diggs in a trade from the Bills to help this already pretty good wide receiver room. Pairing him up with Tank, Nico, Noah Brown, and then getting Joe Mixon and boosting the running game. Because obviously, while yes, Devin Singletary did play well last season as the starter, you bring in a guy like Joe Mixon, I think he can still change the dynamic of the running game. Dalton Schultz is obviously one of the better possession tight ends in the league. But again, this team is pretty well stacked and they can compete. Obviously, like I said, they added a lot of people, added a lot of much needed upgrades, and they even upgraded things that were already good last year, like I said. So the addition with Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, is going to give Stroud just another option. And I mean, we saw how Tank Dell played before he got injured and was out for the whole year. We saw how Nico played in a contract year, right? So it's hard not to believe in this offense and the things they can do. So, but my only concern with this, Texans team is will Stroud hit that sophomore slump? I don't expect him to, but obviously that's something that needs to be talked about. The DBs outside of Stingley are kind of questionable in my opinion. I get Jalen Petrie, he's really good at safety. I said that last year. But other than Stingley, I really don't see much improvement in the DB room. I could be missing somebody if I'm not mistaken. But it's just I do think this team can make another leap this year, especially in Stroud's second year. I believe they're the best team in this AFC South division. I know a lot of people argue with me about that, but I mean, when you look at what the Texans have done this offseason and what people around this other AFC South teams have done, what it doesn't really compare as much as to what the Texans have done to upgrade this team. So, no, I am excited to watch this team going into next year, and I think they will be a problem for the entire league. So let's go ahead and get right into their schedule. As you can see on screen, I have the Texans going 12-5 with key losses being to Kansas City, Baltimore, and one loss to the Colts in that 2-game series they got going on. I just think, like, after that bye week with Miami, KC, and Baltimore, they'll beat Miami. Obviously, they'll beat Tennessee at the end of the year, but that KC Baltimore game, those games might have massive playoff implications. So those might be, must-win games that I think Houston just falls short on. That week, the stretch with Green Bay, Indy, the Jets, and the Lions, I also think that's going to be a little tough stretch. However, I do think the Texans can. It's a little tough schedule to think about, especially, you got the Bills right before, a couple weeks before that Green Bay game. So I think the Texans will do just fine. Like I said, 12-5, I believe, is a very reasonable record for this team. And like I said, they can compete with the best of them. We saw that last year, and they only got better. Like, this team didn't get worse by any means necessary. So I do have the Texans at a 12-5 record going into the 2024 season. The next team we'll be looking at in today's AFC South video is the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team who started off hot last year. Started off 8-2, I believe. Ended up finishing 9-8. That last stretch, they just completely fell apart after that Saints Thursday night game, and they never could, get back on. They only needed like 2 more wins to make the playoffs. They would have made it over the Texans, but they just couldn't pull through. Let's go ahead and look at the stats. Averaging 339.5 yards a game, 242.7 through the air, 96.8 on the ground, scoring 22.2 points a game, giving them the 13th total offense. Defensive-wise, giving up 342.8 yards a game, 239.8 through the air, 103.1 on the ground, giving up about 21.8 points a game with a -3 turnover differential, and giving them the 22nd overall defense in the league last year. Like I said, after that Saints Thursday night game, they just fell up. This whole Jags team fell apart. Trevor getting hurt, all these injuries to the O-line, the defense, everything just really just collapsed on them, and there was no coming back from it. The Texans and the Colts pulled away in this season. They were fighting for that division title, so... And it's just how much, obviously the Jags are putting a lot of faith in Trevor Lawrence, giving him, that huge contract extension, like what was it, $270 million. So obviously they're putting their faith. They believe in Trevor, who hasn't played bad these past few years. Obviously last year he got injured. He didn't play his best while injured or even after injury when he came back, which not a lot of people normally do. They won't, you won't normally play well after or on injury or trying to come back from injury. You know what I mean? But, losing Calvin Ridley would hurt them. But, pairing Christian Kirk now with Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, I think this receiver room improved a little bit. Obviously, Christian Kirk, one of the most underrated guys in my opinion. Obviously, the numbers don't show a lot, but he works hard. Obviously, Evan Ingram's at tight end. You got Trevor Etienne at running back. These guys, this offense is there. They have the weapons to compete. So, I mean, and then the front seven on this defense is honestly really one of the better ones I've seen, led by Josh Allen. I know he changed his name. Forgive me for forgetting. I just remember that. And, how well this front seven plays in crucial situations is really good. Really, honestly, the only thing I really have is, like, can Trevor live up to this contract? Obviously, there's always been questions around Trevor Lawrence and this Jags team about whether he can compete. And obviously, he's led this team to a playoff victory before, just a few years ago. So if he can get back to that same level he was playing at, I don't think they have nothing to worry about. What really scares me about this defense is the secondary outside of, like, Tyson Campbell. I really don't see much of it. It's kind of the same as the Texans, right? But my main thing with the Jags is, because of what we saw at the end of last season, will this team avoid this regression it kind of seems like they're going through? Obviously, they added a lot of things. They beefed up the offense. The defense is still there, right? But will this team take a step back? Obviously, because like I said, the whole main thing with the Jags is, like, they started 8-2 last year and finished 9-8. Y'all only needed a few more wins to make the playoffs. But like I said, injuries did play a huge part in that. Your starting quarterback was hurt for a little minute. But winning, just needing to win a few games and not being able to come through in the clutch, that was regression, right? Especially what we saw from them the year before. So, can the Jags avoid this regression? Actually, win against good football teams, make a name for themselves, and actually put stamp their way into the playoffs. Well, let's just go ahead and get into the schedule and let's find out. As you can see on screen, I have the Jaguars going 7-10 for the 2024 season. I just think they start off the season a little slow. Obviously, you got Miami. I think that's an L. Buffalo, I think that's an L. Houston, L. I think you can. I think you won't be able to beat Indy that first game. You'll be able to beat Chicago, New England, but then you got Green Bay, Philly. After Minnesota, you got Detroit. Then you got to come back after the bye week and play Houston again. You got the Jets late in the season. So I just think it is kind of stacked. Their schedule is kind of stacked against them this year. And my thing is, I think this team will regress. What we saw last year, at the end of the last year, was definitely a regression from this team. Hopefully, Doug Peterson can rally the troops together and make sure it doesn't happen. But if we're going based off my opinion, which obviously I'm not always right, I just think this Jags team won't show as much effort as they used to in these past few years. From 2 years ago, especially from the beginning of last year, I think this team has hit a wall and are going to regress this upcoming season. So I do have the Jags going 7-10 for the 2024 season. The next team we're going to be looking at today is the Tennessee Titans, a team who I said last year this team would struggle. They definitely struggled a lot of quarterback questions, a lot of offensive questions, defensive questions. This team was just kind of a mess last year. So, but looking at the stats, averaging 289 yards a game, 180.4 on the ground, through the air, 108.6 on the ground, only scoring 17.9 points a game, ranking them at 28 total offense. Defense side of the ball, giving up 335.1 yards a game, 227.4 in through the air, 107.7 on the ground, giving them 21.6 points a game with a -6 turnover differential, giving them the 18th total defense. Like I said, this team was a lot just shaky last year. Quarterback questions: Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willett, Will Levis, all these dudes. You had 3 quarterbacks in that room last year. You didn't know who could be a starter. Weapons wise, DeAndre. I love DeAndre Hopkins. He's getting up there in age. Chig Okonkwo was one of I believe he can be one of the better tight ends in this league. But Westbrook, Akine, all these guys, you don't have much, right? You look at this offense. Obviously, you had Derrick Henry, but you couldn't even get him going behind this offensive line. So, it was just a mess all around. Defense side of the ball. You had one of the better D tackles in Jeffrey Simmons. Obviously, you traded Kevin Byard mid-season. So it was just a whole mess, right? However, you did make some improvements. You went and got, obviously you did let Derrick Henry walk. You went and got Tony Pollard. Him and Tajay Spears, I believe, can be a very good 1-2 punch, right? Obviously, they're both elusive guys. You don't really have that big back guy, right? But if Tony Pollard could get back to what he was playing, well, let me say this then. I believe Tony Pollard works better in a 2-man running back system, the way he did with Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas before Zeke left. We saw what he tried to do in Dallas as the main back. He couldn't get it done. So I believe Tony Pollard works best as a 1-2 punch in a backfield, right? And that's what him and Tajay Spears could be. Like I said, usually you have one elusive guy, one, run through a motherfucker face guy, right? But these two, you got 2 elusive guys. And I think they can make it work, right? Obviously, you went and got Tyler Boyd, pair up with DeAndre Hopkins. Feel like I'm missing somebody on the offense. I just can't put my finger on it. However, I do believe Tyler Boyd will bring, much help to that wide receiver room. And then on the defense side of the ball, obviously, like I said, you have Jeffrey Simmons, who is one of the better D tackles in the league. You went and traded for L'Jarius Sneed, who is one, I would say, a top 5 corner at this point. I do believe he can keep it up in Tennessee. However, we all know Tennessee is the place where a lot of vets go and finish their career off in a very, very bad way. They went and signed Jamal Adams just earlier this week. I think he can bring a much needed veteran presence to this defense. And then obviously, what's his name? Sean Murphy Bunting didn't play bad on this CB room last year, but adding Sneed to go and help him out, I think I think they'll be good. And also, have heard rumors that the Titans might want to either sign Quandre Diggs, Justin Simmons, even add to that secondary a little bit more. However, like I said, there was a lot of losses. Obviously, Derrick Henry, Alzi Shahir, one of the better coverage linebackers. He went to Texans. And I just don't see this team doing much. I mean, you fired Vrabel. You got a weak O line. And then it's just, there's a lot of questions around the defense, the secondary, the linebackers. It's just too many questions to think like this team be good on. But like on the positive side, like you got solid signings. Like I said, Snead, Jamal Adams, Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard. Like these are solid signings, right? Then you mean Will Levis? I think he can make a jump in year two. I think last year he showed a lot of promise, and I was one of the ones who was like, I don't think he should have been drafted that high. But after watching games, I think he played really well. But and then like I said, it's a new system, new head coach. We can see how he does. Obviously, we seen how well some people play in a better system. Maybe Vrabel's system that just died out. But like I said, I don't think they should have fired Vrabel. You let Derrick Henry walk. And it's just like I said, this team is full of question marks, and I don't think they'll be as good as people think they will be going into the season. As you can see on screen, I have the Tennessee Titans going 5-12. Schedule starts off super tough. I mean, opening up against the Bears, Jets, Packers, and then Miami, and then having a bye week in week 5 is just criminal. And then you come out the bye week, Colts, Bills, Lions. Like, dude, you won't get your first win till you play the Patriots. Then you got Chargers, Vikings. There's 3 wins right there. Then you got the Texans, Commanders. There's your 4th. Jags, Bengals, and then you won't win again till that last Jags game. So I mean, I don't know, man. I think this team has potential to be something good, be something great, but that schedule is just looking at it. That's super tough. I just don't think the Titans can get it done, especially with this kind of team they have. If they are more well equipped, if they were better, like someone like a Colts team or even a Jags team, I would say they probably have a chance to beat some of these really, really good teams, but I'm not seeing it, especially those first few weeks of the season. That's ridiculous. So I do have the Titans going 5-12 for the 2024 season. And last but not least, we are looking at the last team in the AFC South, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. And AJ and Marty are probably going to blame me and try to say, oh, you did it last because it's the Colts. Well, yes, you're right. I did save it for last because it is the Colts. Let's just go ahead and get straight into it. Finished 9-8 last year, barely missing out on a playoff spot with half your roster injured. So I mean, props to the Colts for that one. Finished with offensive side of the ball, 336.8 yards a game, 215.6 through the air, 121.6 on the ground, 23.3 points a game, giving you the 15th total offense in the league. Defense side of the ball, 349.8 yards a game, 226 through the air, 123.8 on the ground, giving up 24.4 points a game with a +2 turnover differential, giving you the 24th total defense. Again, as I said just recently, this team didn't play bad last year. Obviously, they were one game away from playoff win, that Week 18 game against the Texans. Sorry, but losing Anthony Richardson, not having Jonathan Taylor for a good portion of the season, losing a lot of people on defense off the offensive line, this team played through a lot of adversity, still managed to have a winning record. So I mean, you got to give them props for that. And it just makes you wonder, what can this team do with a full healthy team, right? Obviously, we saw what Shane Steichen did in his first year as head coach. Led this team to almost he's a really good coach. Came from the Eagles as their OC. He can game plan. We've seen it before, right? So if AR can stay healthy, if Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy, I think they could be dangerous, right? And obviously, Anthony Richardson's a fucking huge quarterback. We've seen what Jonathan Taylor could do in the past. And your receivers are pretty good. I mean, Michael Pittman has played his ass off these past few years. You just drafted Adonai Mitchell. Downs is coming into his own. If he can make that year 2 jump, I think he could be one of the better slot receivers in the league. Alec Pierce, there's really not much to show for it. He's a better blocker than he is pass catcher at this point. I'd be surprised if he enters the starting lineup. But, however, Jelani Woods, tight end, a huge tight end. Use him to your advantage, right? O-line, one of the better O-lines when healthy, right? So, I mean, this Colts offense has what it takes to win games. And I do think that if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy, if Pittman can avoid injury, if Donnie Mitchell can avoid injury, if Downs can avoid injury, I think this is a top 10 offense in the league, depending on the chemistry. So you'll never hear me give the Colts this much credit. But the team they have now, there's no denying that they're poised to win a lot of games this upcoming season if they can stay healthy. So, and then on the defense side of the ball, I've always thought the Colts had one of the better front sevens in the league. No, DeForest Buckner, Bobby Okereke, what's his name? Zaire Franklin. I'm about to say Darius Leonard. Those guys up front, like those guys can pass rush, bro. They can get to the ball. They could stop the run. My only concern is really the secondary outside of Kenny Moore. Like I said, Kenny Moore, one of the better slot corners in the league, but outside of him, like there's really nobody in that secondary to fawn over. You know what I mean? Like Julius Brents, he played well, but couldn't keep it up. I mean, there's just Tony Brown when he was in there, he wasn't doing much. So it's the front seven that really helps this team out. But if the Colts can get better DBs, help Kenny Moore out a little bit, I think they'd have a much better defense than what they did last year. But, going over positives, like I said, if AR can stay healthy, he's going to make that year 2 jump regardless, right? We didn't see much of him last year. I think if he stays healthy this year, he's going to be a problem. Shane Steichen, one of the best game plan coaches I've ever seen in this league, especially on the offensive side of the ball. With him, and then the weapons, like I said, Pittman, Downs, Donnie Mitchell, JT, Jelani Woods, incorporate him. If all those guys can get going throughout the entire season, this Colts offense will be a problem. But on the opposite side, like I said, secondary question marks. Outside of Kenny Moore, there's really nobody to fawn over. Can AR actually stay healthy this season? That's one of the main concerns with the Colts, and if they'll go far or not. It all depends on AR. And I said it before to AJ and Marty, if AR stays healthy, maybe y'all win one more game that y'all should have without him, right? And then it's also, can JT actually stay healthy too? Obviously, he's been plagued by injuries this past few years. So if he can also stay healthy, I do think this Colts team will be a major, major, major problem. How big of a problem? Let's just go ahead and take a look at their schedule. As you can see on screen, I have the Indianapolis Colts going 11-6, and I can already hear AJ in my ear. No less than 12 wins. I said no less than, come on. I was gonna give y'all 10, but I gave y'all 11. Just looking at the schedule, I think you start 0-1 against Houston. I said y'all split series evenly. I think y'all beat Green Bay because Green Bay plays in Brazil week 1, and they got to come all the way back to the States to play a week 2 game on a short week, kind of a short week, but not really a short week. And then you got the Bears, Steelers, or you'll beat the Bears. Steelers gonna be a tough game for y'all. The Jags, Titans, Miami, obviously. Then you beat that Texans team, the Vikings. Then you get to the Bills, Jets, and Lions. A little 3-game losing skid. Then you got the Patriots after the bye. You got the Broncos, the Titans again, and the Giants. And I think you'll already, by then, I believe with the record you'll have at the time, you'll have a playoff spot secured, hopefully. And, play backups against that Jags in the last game. Y'all end up losing that one. So I believe an 11-6 record is going to be just fine for this Colts team going into 2024 because, and this is all if they stay healthy, obviously. If this team stays healthy, this is an 11-6 team for the 2024 season. And as we conclude this video for the AFC South predictions, here's what the standings would look like. Got the Texans with the number 1 spot at 12-5. Houston right behind them at 2 at 11-6. The Jags at 3 with a 7-10 record, and the Titans in last with a 5-12 record. Just want to thank you all for watching once again. Like I said, it's fun to make these videos. I love giving my opinion and thoughts on things such as football, which I do love with all my heart. So I just want to say thank you for watching once again. Gonna go ahead and get working on the next prediction video now. I don't know which one it is. I think I'm gonna do the Norths, NFC, AFC Norths. So like I said, this is just all opinionated. I don't care. I know I'm gonna hear shit from AJ and Marty about 11-6, which I think is reasonable. But nonetheless, I hope you all have a great Saturday. Stay blessed.